Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video we're going to talk Start Collecting Middle-earth Strategy Battle Game, the Lord of the Rings Strategy Battle Game, and today we're going to take a look at the Mordor Battlehost. In this video we're going to talk through how we can use the Mordor Battlehost to start our army for Lord of the Rings. We'll take a look at the box's contents, all the units inside it, what they can do on the tabletop, and then at the end of the video we'll give you a little sample 250 point list for you to use as a starting point for some inspiration for creating your own Mordor army for the game. So with all of that said, the contents of this box set, what do we get? First of all, we get the Witch King of Agma, both mounted and on foot. This serves a number of different purposes. First of all, it does give us the option of, playing with either model starting, but also it does give us, if we choose to play with the mounted option, the ability when his horse does die, to replace him with the appropriate foot model. As you know, horses can get shot out from underneath their riders in the game. Now, alongside him, we also have 24 Mordor Orcs. We get 4 of them with bows, 6 with swords and shields, 2 with picks and shields, which do slightly different things, 4 with two-handed axes, and 4 with spears. We then will also get 6 Warg Riders, 2 of them with bows, 2 with swords, and 2 with throwing spears. And so, let's start off by checking out the Witch King of Agma, the leader of our Mordor force. Now, first of all, this is a really powerful hero to lead your force. We've got a move of 6 inch. Now, that is his standard foot move. It does increase if you choose to take the horse, or indeed, if you choose to take a fell beast of either variety, if you manage to get that model and upgrade him to that. He's got a fight value of 5 and a shoot value of 4, strength 4, defense 8 is really nice, 1 attack, 1 wound, we'll talk about that in a second, and 6 for his courage. He then also has the ability to pick and choose how much might he will have, as well as will and fate. He starts with 0 might, but can have up to 3. He starts with 10 will, but can have up to 20. And he starts with 0 fate, but can have up to 3. And so, his starting Wargear, we have the heavy armor and sword. His heroic actions he's going to be able to perform are going to be Resolve, Channeling, Strike, Strength, and Challenge, giving him both some magic and combat abilities there. Now, the options we have for the model, first of all, are the Fell Beasts, so we've talked about just before quickly. You can take either an Armored Fell Beast or a regular Fell Beast. The Armored Fell Beast has its cool ability where it's got a defense of 7 rather than the average defense of 6 for a Fell Beast. The Crown of Morgul is a special option upgrade for the Witch King of Agma. If he chooses to have the Crown of Morgul, his attack value is increased to 3. Additionally, whilst wearing the Crown of Morgul, the Witch King of Agma can choose to reroll 1 dice when making casting or resist tests. And then he's got a Morgul Blade as well, where once per game this model's controlling player may declare they are using the Morgul Blade during the fight phase before rolling to wound. If the model is using a Morgul Blade, they must direct all their strikes against a single target. An enemy that suffers a wound from a Morgul Blade is automatically slain regardless of the number of wounds on their profile. Heroes may use fate dice to avoid these wounds, but even if a single wound is not saved, they are slain. So they have to be able to save with fate dice every single one of them. If a model using the Morgul Blade is mounted, then they use the rider's attack and strength if using the Morgul Blade. So you can't, equip him and then use the strength of, say, the Fell Beast underneath him. Now, looking into special rules for the model, we first of all have the Harbinger of Evil special rule. Now, this is going to allow him to put out a nice, cool passive effect. An enemy model within 12 inches of this model suffers a -1 penalty to its courage. Note, this is not cumulative with other similar penalties, such as those provided by Goblin Drums, the Ancient Evil special rule, and so on. We then have Terror, which is really nice as well. This is going to allow him, should a model wish to charge this model, it must first take a courage test before it moves, and if the test is passed, the model may charge as normal. If it can't, then it cannot charge, and it may not move at all this turn, sometimes as it's sort of stunned in place. We then have the Will of Evil, which is another passive ability. The model must give up 1 point of will at the end of the fight phase if it has been involved in 1 or more fights that turn. Note, if the model is in base contact with an enemy model, then it must fight. It cannot choose not to fight. Once a model is reduced to 0 will points, it is banished and therefore removed as a casualty. If a model with this special rule uses the last will point to cast a magical power with the instant duration, the effects of the magical power will be resolved and then the model is removed. Additionally, a hero wearing the One Ring is not invisible to the model with this power like they are to others. So this sort of explains, his 1 wounds. He actually, technically, at start, has 11 of them, though he can choose to give up some of those wills to use his magic powers as well. Speaking of magic powers, he has quite a few of them. He has Drain Courage, which does exactly what you think. Transfix, to be able to sort of control enemies, along with Compel. Instill Fear does the same sort of thing. Your Staff is Broken, is great for other wizards. Black Dart is a bit of range damage, and Sap Will allows him to steal some will off enemies and increase his own, which is really nice. Looking at our first lot of troops, we have the Mordor Orcs. Now, these are pretty standard sort of throwaway infantry, though they definitely can get pretty solid in the numbers you can generally take them in, and they're not overly expensive. Now, we've got a base move of 6, fight of 3, and a 5+ for our shoot value. Strength 3, defense 4 is nice, 1 attack, 1 wound, but courage 2 is pretty low. Wargear wise, they start with armor and they can choose to take swords or picks. These 2 different weapons are going to provide some different special strikes, where the picks are going to be providing the piercing strike ability, where a model armed with a pick can opt to make a piercing strike. If their side wins the fight, increase the model strength by 1. If their side loses the fight, however, reduce their defense by D3. And you can choose them with their swords if they've got a higher fight value with it, or equal. Then at the start of the fight phase, they can choose to feint. If they do so, they reduce their fight value by D3 when working out who wins the fight. If the fainting model's side wins the duel, however, they may reroll any wound rolls of 1. If they're lower, which is generally going to be what your orcs are, then you can choose to stab. This will allow you to reroll wound rolls of 1 if you win the duel. However, due to the reckless abandon with which such a thing as stabbing, if your side loses the duel, you suffer a strength 2 hit automatically against you. Other than that, you can take a banner, though the banner is not included in this box set. Orc bows, shields, spears, or 2-handed weapons. And lastly, we have the Warg Riders. Now, their profile is exactly the same as our Mordor Orcs. They're literally just got wargs as well. This does move. Obviously, the move will increase up to the warg speed. And then we've got some wargear. So we start with armor, sword, and the warg, obviously. And then we can take banners on these models, steal an orc bow, a shield, and we take throwing spears. We don't get access to 2-handed weapons on the mounts or regular spears, but we have throwing spears, which I think are a nice addition. They're really cool to add in a couple of extra ranged attacks and a higher strength while not impeding any bow limits, which is cool. And so here we have our sample warband for you. Now, we've got a hero of legend leading the warband, because the Witch King of Agma is a hero of legend. We have 2 bows in the force, 250 points on the nose, and 13 warriors, which is pretty cool, considering we put a ton of points into the Witch King of Agma. He's roughly about just over half the army's points, but because we've got the nice cheap troops, we're able to do this. So we've given him his armoured horse, the Crown of Morgul, for the extra attack. Then we've gone 3 extra fate and might. We've not given him any extra will, which should be enough, but this allows him to have 3 fate, 3 might, and then 10 will to begin with. Heavy armour, obviously, and then he's got his Morgul blade as well. Now, his warband is going to consist of some orc warriors. We've got 4 of them with sword and shield, which will really be sort of the workhorses. Some spears there to support them. A couple of bows in here. While the orcs generally aren't that great with bows, I think a couple is nice to have as some good sort of harassment fire. You never know, they actually can take out a couple of fighters here and there. Then we have one with the 2-handed weapon on them as well. Warg Riders, we have 4 of them. We've got 2 with throwing spears. I really like throwing spears, the fact they don't affect your bow limit. And, you know, they've got that higher strength at the close range, can give you some extra range damage. And then we've got 2 regular Warg Riders as well. Our enemy is ready. His full strength gathered is the nice cool ability we're going to get with the warband for being the Mordor faction. Like I said, 250 points, 2 bows, 13 warriors. This is pretty solid for 250 points. The Witch King will be an absolute beast on the tabletop. If you've been playing with Mordor in the Middle-earth strategy battle game, let us know how you've been going and what you would do down in the comments below. And so that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Cinephiles Gaming, you can do so in our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description. Also linked down in the video's description is links to our Patreon and YouTube members, the best thing you can do to help support the channel. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so via those links in the video's description. As a special thank you as well to everyone who does, we'd like to give you all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lyle, Outer Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Derek, and Bloobs. And thank you to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Ronya, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, and John Castle. Lastly, a special shout out to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see for the channel. That's it for the video. As said, don't forget to like it, subscribe, and we'll see you all again next time. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey.